na naman kayo sa inyong kapwa Pilipino.
Pinastos pa nila ako.
For detention and the basis for detention.
And that's the smoking gun ng proceeds of the illegal.
You're a law enforcement, the highest law enforcement official being head of PNP.
Yeah. Truth in the baseline, facts in the cadence. Silent rules, but the message stays stainless. No smoke, no mirrors, no pay for stands. Just power to the people. This is Phil Castro. Type of stay woke, let the truth broadcast. No noise, just signal. Remember that history don't bend to the ones who fast talk and listen to the ones who think. This is Phil Castro. Yeah. Truth in the baseline, facts in the cadence. Silent rules, but the message stays stainless. No smoke, no mirrors, no pay for stands. Just power to the people. This is Phil Castro. Type of stay woke, let the truth broadcast. No noise, just signal. Remember that history don't bend to the ones who fast talk and listen to the ones who think. This is Phil Castro. Yeah. Truth in the baseline, facts in the cadence. Silent rules, but the message stays stainless. No smoke, no mirrors, no pay for stands. Just power to the people. This is Phil Castro. Type of stay woke, let the truth broadcast. No noise, just signal. Remember that history don't bend to the ones who fast talk and listen to the ones who think. This is Phil Castro.
Hello po, magandang araw po sa inyo lahat. And today po, ayan, bagong podcast na naman natin. And kung makikita nyo po, binago ko yung aking, yung angulo ng aking camera. Sana mas okay siya, no? Kasi tinitingnan ko yung lighting kasi yung lighting ko meron lang, merong isang angulo lang po siya. So I need to make sure yung lighting nag-work dito sa mataba kong face. Ayan. Okay, today, again, maraming salamat po sa walang sawang support sa lahat po ng mga sumusuporta sa ating YouTube channel at sa mga magre-replay po. Thank you so much. And today po, before anything else, please don't forget to share and like and subscribe sa ating YouTube channel. And also, para po ma-follow nyo ang ating mga YouTube channel. Meron pong QR code na makikita po kayo later sa ating live podcast. Pwede nyo pong gamitin ang inyong phone to scan it and also to share at follow and share yung mga social media platforms po natin na tayo kasali doon. So yun po. So today, napakaraming balita na pag-uusapan natin. Ngayon, na nasa politika pero magfo-focus po muna tayo sa magfo-focus tayo ngayon sa ICC. Alam po natin that the ICC confirmation of hearing have already been finished. I think yesterday on the Hague time at natapos na po, nagkaroon na ng mga oral statements. Nagbigay na po sila ng kanilang mga closing statements and ang pag-uusapan po natin yung naging statement po ni Attorney Gilbert Andres. Isa po siya sa mga legal counsel na nagre-represent po sa mga EJK victims at bibigyan po natin ng reaksyon yung mga sinabi niya po. Together with that, at magpapakilala din po siya sa inyo. Dati na po natin siyang na-invite sa ating YouTube channel at nandito po siya ulit. Please welcome Clark Lea.
Hello. Hindi na ako magpapakilala. Dapat kilala niyo na ako. Hindi, loko
Malay
lang.
ma
Loko lang. Loko
malay
lang.
mo hindi ka kilala ni ano, nung tumatawag sa'yong suman dito.
Suma ay, si Sir Nixon, nagpupunta ba dito? Si Sir Nixon, hindi. Uy, Sir
Ah,
Nixon,
me
magpunta
me
ka rito ah.
kasi iba-iba yung oras, siguro ang tingin ko kasi problema rin yung timing. Either 'pag
Pero hindi
nagla-live ako,
eh.
4 yung naka-live sa group ninyo or 5. So,
Oo,
I
kasi
doubt.
nagsasabay tayo eh. Oo, baka
Pero okey
nagre-replay
lang.
yun. Oo.
Mm.
Kasi pag if they watch me live, kasi dun siya nambabash sa akin, dito siya nagre-replay sa'yo. So, hindi mo alam kung anong sinasabi niya about you. Oo. Pareho kami ni Billy nandito sa Amerika, kumakayod sa umaga, nagba-vlog pag-uwi sa bahay.
In
Oo.
short po, kami po'y kuratsa.
Ano yun, Kuracha? What does that mean?
'Di ba kuratsa yung movie ni Rosana Roses before, yung babaeng walang pahinga, yung araw-araw nagtatrabaho
Ganun ka.
sa
Oh,
umaga at sa
sige.
gabi.
Ay, grabe naman, ma-compare man tayo kay Rosana Roses. Grabe yun, ah.
Malay mo,
Kuratsa.
naku, makukulay ang isip ng mga listeners natin.
Oo. Tapos, pagpunta nila sa vlog, sabihin, ito lang pala ang itsura nito. Ma-disappointed sila. Oh, Kuracha in the sense na we're hardworking.
Mm.
Pero, si Billy, ang cute-cute ni Billy. Ang pogi-pogi ni
Yun,
Billy. Kaya nga,
Si Ma'am Kirkley ang cute din. At
nung
least
sabi niya kay Ibibay, Sir Ibibay na ano daw, sabi niya kay Sir Ibibay na mag-collab, pumayag ka agad si Sir Ibibay.
kaso hanggang ngayon hindi pa kami nagko-collab.
Hindi ba natuloy yun?
Hindi.
Oo, kaagad siya ah. Ay,
Kaya may
yabang-yabang
utang
niya.
ka, boss, sa akin.
Aba, si Mr.
May utang ka
Lipstick.
sa akin, boss.
Oo. So anyway, ganun yun.
Kaya nga. Oh, well, before we start,
Oo.
konting introduction, ma'am, sa ating mga listeners.
Akala ko yun na. Yun nga.
Ayun na ba yun?
I'm a
Kayo
nurse.
si Kuratsa.
I work during the day. I work for a hospital in Anaheim. Hindi na wala ng details, but I've been a nurse since 1994. That gives you an idea of how old I am. I'm 52. Para di na kayo magtanong. Oh, I'm 52. I've worked at the bedside for majority of my career. Pero, now that I'm old, nandyan na ako sa office. I work in quality and risk
Oh,
management.
kaya pala. Magaling na po pala kayo mag-manage.
Oo. Ay, yung asawa ko minamanage ko all the time.
Sabi niya, pag manager daw,
Ah,
maraming money.
ay, Diyos ko. Alam mo, di ba, alam mo, di ba kinuwento ko sa iyo yan, nung nasa Minnesota ako, I had money, but here in California, I'm always broke. We can't wait till the kids get out of high school and we move out of here. Gusto ko, I really want to move to North Carolina.
Kasi maano,
Mm.
no? Sobrang taas ng cost of living.
Ang state taxes, pero alam mo na, he wants to move to Tennessee kasi walang state taxes. Pero I have friends in North Carolina. Ikaw, di
Mm.
ba, you used to be in California, you know how it is.
LA.
Mm.
Malapit sa Long Beach. Hindi, ano lang siya, parang sabi nga nila, California is like parang fly-by state. Pupunta ka lang doon, parang pumasya, tapos alis ka rin. Pero yung titira ka, hindi siya ganun worth it. Kumbaga sa cost of living, it it equates to lesser ano life quality, tama ba? Quality of life 'yon.
Pero ang mga mahilig sa nightlife, di ba, nasa LA. And alam nyo ba na ang pinakamagandang vlogger sa balat ng lupa. Nakatira po sa Long Beach, California. Mixed Stocks ang pangalan niya.
Long Beach
She
pala siya.
lives. She lives in.
Di
But
nagkita na
I think
kayo.
she just moved. She just moved recently. Yan ang Cali Girls. May Dons, si Maurice
Mm.
Casilos, Josephine Macatula.
Nagkita na kayo?
Inadapt nila ako.
In person?
Oo. A
Ay,
lot of
wow.
times, palagi nila ako nililibre because I'm always broke. Mga mayayaman yan eh.
Basta ako,
Milyonaryo
pag
yan.
pumunta ako ng Cali, alam ko na kung sinong
Oh my
i-GC
God,
ko.
we will take you. We will take you where you wanna go. They'll pay and sasama
Ako,
ako.
ako masaya na ako sa In-N-Out. In-N-Out. Okay na ako dyan.
Ay,
In-N-Out
In-N-Out.
Burger. Wala
Oo,
dito
the
nun eh.
best
Wala dito nun.
burgers. Oh,
Ay,
lalo ni
nako.
Jonas Benavides at ni Round Tripper.
Shoutout
Gusto
sa
ko
inyo
yung
lahat
sinabi. Gusto ko yung sinabi ni Round Tripper, Rodrigo, ang lalaking di makalabas sa kulungan.
Tapos
Ang
kami naman
lupit
si
mo, Round
Kuracha.
Tripper. Oo. Oo.
Maria Joseph. Pero, going back dito sa topic natin, and I think a lot of people talaga po, Ma'am Clark, naka-tune in. Like every day. There's multiple vloggers, multiple postings sa social media na talaga inaantabayanan nito. Kaya nga alam nyo minsan, na pinagtatawanan ko na lang yung sarili ko. No? Tayo mga vlogger, we don't have a choice. We need to research, we need to dig deeper sa mga details ng pinag-uusapan.
Mhm.
Kasi magre-react. Ikaw, nagre-react ka. Ako naman, I do
Mhm.
podcast in a different way. Tapos magtataka ka, kung minsan, kahit ako, nagugulat ako, yung mga kaibigan ko, na hindi naman ano sa vlogging or sa politics, pag tinanong ko, alam mo ba yung nangyari nung ganito, ganyan? Para pa silang mas may alam sa akin. Para bang lawyer ang datingan. Tapos sabi ko, wow. Talagang hindi mo kalain yung effect pala talaga nung historic na ICC proceedings. And I think moving towards dito sa end, the last day, and I think it was yesterday in The Hague, local time. Dito na naglabas ng mga testimonies, mga compelling evidences and argument na inilabas ng both camps para mai-push itong procedures na to trial. And I think sa mga listeners natin, dito niyo po maririnig dito sa podcast natin yung mga detalye na sinabi ni Attorney Gilbert Andres dito siya po ay legal counsel naman ng EJK victims sa ICC. Kasi po sa ICC, there's 3 groups dito sa issue na to. There is the defense headed by Attorney Kaufman. Tapos yung prosecutor na headed naman ng, I forgot his name, African prosecutor ng ICC. And then yung third group is the legal counsel of the EJK victims, which is sila Attorney Baduyan, Attorney Andres, at saka si Masida, Attorney Masida. Paulina Masida, yun yung pangalan niya. Ngayon, mag-focus tayo dun sa sinabi ni Attorney Gilbert Andres. First things first, Ma'am Clark, bakit nako-consider ito ng karamihan, especially and I think malapit ito sa atin mga Filipinos abroad and even OFW, tong issue na to na they actually tag it in sa social media that this procedure is considered as historic sa Philippines. Bakit tingin ninyo that there is the majority of Filipinos abroad thinking that this is a historic for our country?
Para sa akin, yung first time na, pero ito muna yung sinabi mo na yung mga iba na hindi naman familiar sa sa politics. Dati-rati yung mga yung sa work, kasi I'm new to where I work. Bago ko lang natuklasan, yung palang mga kasama ko na naging close ko ng mga Pilipino. Iba-iba pala kami. Yung isa na nagdadala sa akin ng Filipino food paminsan-minsan, Duterte pala siya. So ngayon, ang tawag ko sa kanya, tatay mo karton. Yung isa naman, so unprofessional. Yung isa naman, tinklawan pala siya. So ngayon, meron na kami, 3 kulay kami doon. Nakakatawa nga Sus, ito naman tatay mo karton. So
Dapat
dalawa kami
ano,
against him.
Ma'am Court, dapat i-video nyo na tatlo kayo nag-uusap. Tapos makita
Na
namin,
ano,
di ba? Oo.
oo,
Sarap
di ba?
yun. Masarap yun, masarap yun. Masarap pakinggan yun.
Oo, di ba?
Mm.
Oo, sabi so anyway, yung was it historic? First time ever, 'di ba ako nahiya ako ha, na we're being known for dati-dati ay we're known for our hospitality. Oh, we're
People
known
power.
for yung people power, and then later on, although it contributed to the brain drain na ay yung mga professionals natin, ang dami tayong mga ano professionals na produce ng ating bansa ngayon. First time ever, a former Philippine president faces an international court for crimes against humanity. Hindi lang,
Mhm.
di ba yung parang, and this is linked to a domestic policy, yung war on drugs ko, no? And then, sabi nga ni Sentry is alleging that this is not related really to a war on drugs, but eliminating his competition. Gumagano'n ako kasi nandiyan ka sa screen ko too, right? Anyway, so it covers both his stint as a mayor in Davao and on a national level. So, bale, yung alleged killings niya from his time as Davao mayor and as president, pinapakita yung pattern, hindi lang yung isolated abuses. So,
Mhm.
it tests whether powerful leaders in Southeast Asia can be held to account when the local systems fail or refuse to act. So, binigyan kasi siya ng opportunity, di ba? Nung binigay sa ICC, binalik sa Pilipinas, okay. Kasi nag-ano sila na, ay, we're gonna do investigations, and then, iilan lang ang inimbestigahan nila. So, sabi ng ICC, that's, no. Kaya, nire-imbestiga nila yung prosecutor at that time. I think it was still Karim Khan, na, he got to go ahead to reopen the investigation kasi nakita nila na thousands were being killed. Iilan lang yung inimbestigahan, and then nothing really came out of it.
Correct. And naging ano pa siya, naging controversial pa siya this past few days kung makikita po natin. And I think yung mga listeners are updated dito kasi lumabas yung 18 ex-Marines na sinasabi na through former Senator Trillanes, there was some money involved na di umano pinadala through Senator Trillanes to the uh, representative ng ICC no o investigate sila nag-investigate sila sa Philippines na parang nagkaroon ng bigay ng pera. Kaso this was debunked ng ICC na parang sinasabi nila kahit bigyan mo sila ng pera, ang mag-judge ng verdict dito kami dito sa The Hague. So it doesn't make any sense kahit bigyan mo sila ng pera. And for me, ano lang yun, nakakapagpagulo lang yun sa pinaka-issue eh. Kasi tulad po nung sinabi ko dun sa huli kong podcast, I think sinabi ko to kay Densable, sabi ko sa kanya, ang nagiging problema kasi dito, ang hindi maintindihan ng mga lintik na DDS na yan, hindi naman pinag-uusapan si Duterte sa issue na to. Ang pinag-uusapan yung mga biktima ng EJK na namatay na hindi na nila kaya idepensa yung sarili nila. Wala silang bilyon para magkaroon ng attorney Kaufman o wala silang pera makapunta ng Netherlands. Yun yung pinag-uusapan dito. Kaso sinasabi ng DDS wala daw po tayong pakialam sa kalagayan ni Duterte, wala daw due process. So wala.
Ngayon walang due process. Sabi nga ni Jonas tsaka ni Romy, mali daw yung spelling nun. Hindi daw yun Marines. Yung N pala, dapat T. 18 Marites daw yun. Hindi daw yun Marines. Hindi, si Tokis pala yung nagsabi nun.
Mm.
Grabe naman yung mga istorya nila. alam mo, yung I don't know if you've watched Sir JDB na talagang inisa-isa niya yung how the pictures were photoshopped, yung inisa-isa niya yung yung bakit naman yung
Hmm.
18, iisa yung affidavit. Kasi yung affidavit is supposed to be like a personal um testimony of your experience, tas you affix your signature. But for all 18 of them to sign one document, it means magkasama kayong 18 at the
Hmm.
same time, all the time. How is that even possible? And also, yung sinabi mo, di ba, na bakit yung investigador ang iba bribe? Well, they have nothing to do with the outcome of the case.
Correct.
Bobo-bobo lang.
Ang nakakatawa pa diyan po, 2017 if I'm not mistaken, ang paliwanag ng ICC na dumating yung mga investigador. Kung talaga may issue, bakit bago pa mapakulong or makuha si Duterte from the Philippines to The Hague, hindi sila nagsalita? Kung totoo, meron. So yun yung
Kasi,
parang issue.
but what they're saying is this all happened in 2023, I think. Yung yung mga marites nga, they're saying it
Hmm,
happened in 2023. Eh, si Leila de Lima, who is one of the congresista na named, was still in jail in 2023. Diba? So how did she even have anything to do with it? Although, understandable na si Leila de Lima may mga connection dyan kasi isa siya sa mga allegedly one of the people that helped with the case na nung final yan dati-rati. Pero to receive the money, ano yun, dineliver sa preso. Tapos, nagbago na naman yung ano niya, yung sinabi ni Attorney Baligo. Sabi, hindi. It was an error on my part. Hindi pala mali-malita. Yung pala, ano daw, paper bag pala. O, edi yun pa rin yun. Nasa preso pa din siya.
correct.
Yung, ano po yun? Anong klaseng mga marites to? Ang dami, there's so many holes in their story na it makes you wonder nga na hindi ba nila ito pinag-usapan na, before they came out, ang dami nga nag-i-speculate, mawawala na lang parang bula itong 18 ito. Oh, diba?
Sabi nga nila ano daw mahina ang PR. Kung sino man ang
Ba,
PR team ng mga 'to, mahina, mahina. Hindi masyado nabayaran ng mala Kaufman na salary,
oo nga, sayang. Sayang lang.
sayang.
Sabi nga ni,
And,
ang mga,
Ma'am Ma'am Clark, I think another
oh,
question kasi marami kasing mga sabihin na natin mga DDS na nagsasabi, I think, because pinag-uusapan natin ang legal counsel ng EJK. So, yung pag-uusapan natin geared towards that group dito sa ICC. Gusto ko pong
oh,
malaman, ano sa tingin niyo ang specific focus nitong ICC trial na 'to? Anong gusto nila i-prove? Kasi ako
I think,
kasi ito po, and dagdagan ko ng konti 'no. Kasi kung titignan mo yung magkakabilang panig, ang sabi ng mga DDS, ang gusto lang nila i-prove na yung law and order na kinampanya ni Pangulong Duterte noon na kaya siya nanalo, parang sinasabi nila na, parte yun ng kampanyang ibinoto siya ng Pilipino Sabi naman ng EJK victims, it's because of the justice system na hindi pumapareha sa mga biktima. And I think dahil doon sa dalawang magkaibang posisyon kasi ako naniniwala ako that's true. Nanalo siya sa law and order. Pero true rin na walang justice system with the EJK victims. Kung titignan natin, pagbasihan natin kung ikaw yung nasa ICC or ikaw yung isa sa mga judge doon, ano tingin mo yung pinaka main focus nung trial?
so, I think what the ICC is trying to prove, pero meron din nagsasabi that the
Ma'am
ICC,
Clark, palakas daw ng boses ng konti.
oo nga,
Mahina daw po.
hoy Jonas, baka naman niloloko mo lang ako dyan. Eto, sisigaw na. Oh. So, meron din criticism sa ICC na they're just trying to clean their image because of all the criticism na ayun, sinanction daw ng US. But nevertheless, no, setting that aside, no, what exactly is the ICC trying to prove in this investigation? It's yung prosecution, no, hindi naman bawat pinatay ang they have to prove every single killing na may kinalaman si Digong doon. No, it's trying to prove crimes against humanity of murder and attempted murder between 2011 and 2019. So, ang papakita lang nila na widespread or systematic yung pag-atake, first of all, na mga civilian ang inatake dun. Also, na si Duterte, meron talaga siyang individual na responsibility. So, tumulong siya sa pagdisenyo, pag-order, pag-encourage, or pag-enable dun sa pag-atake ng mga civilian. And we all know that he check all of the above siya dun sa lahat ng yun.
So parang ang punto niyo po is more on the command responsibility aspect.
Hindi lang sa sa command responsibility because siya naman talaga nagdisenyo nun yung pag sabi niya na eto yung gagawin, dinisenyo niya, in order niya, yung sinabi niya na sinasabi nga ni Kaufman, show me a written order na sinabi niya kill, kill, kill. Dati niyang kasamahan yung nasa prosecution. Sabi niya, si Hitler ba may sinulat na kill, kill, kill? You were with me. You were my teammate before. There's never anything written. You know, wag na tayong maglukuhan dito. An order is, it could be verbal. Did Hitler write anything like that? I don't think so. Diba? And then, yung mga speeches niya, that's his encouragement. Yung sinasabi niya sa mga pulis na, akong bahala sa inyo. Although, sinungaling din siya. Akong bahala sa inyo. Siya ba ang bahala? It was only when he was in Congress, when he found out, kuno, that was, sinabi niya, I will establish, ano tawag niya dun, mag-i-establish daw siya ng fund to help all the policemen that are now in trouble for all the killings that they did. Ngayon mo lang naisip yan, Diggs. Diba? And enabling the attacks. Ano bang ginawa niya? Diba yung mga prosecutor, they were told not to prosecute all these guilty individuals. So, lahat yan, it's not just command responsibility in the sense that these misbehaving cops were under him. Talagang inutusan, and he enabled, he encouraged all of these cops. Diba?
Correct. At hindi niya kasi pwedeng ipagkaila dahil ang isa kasing bagay na siguro naintindihan ko doon sa pinaliwanag ni Attorney Conti nung tinatanong siya sa Billionaire Channel. Sinasabi niya kasi, the only problem with that argument is that ang nagsasalita kasi nung panahon na yun ay presidente. And kung ano ang namumutawi sa presidente plus Filipino culture, ang alam natin, it's a state policy and it is a directive. Hindi pa pwedeng dagdagan, hindi pwedeng bawasan kasi sinabi yun ng presidente. At kultura natin, mga Pilipino, pag tayo nauuto at naniniwala tayo sa sabi-sabi, kung minsan nagiging totoo. Kaya yung sinabing natukhang ang kapatid ko, pwedeng ang ibig sabihin nun, pinatay, nahuli, nakulong, o nabagan siya. Kaya nung panahon daw pong iyon, yung ibig sabihin ng mga salitang sinasabi ni Duterte ay direktang patungkol sa isang state policy na hindi niya pwede ipagkaila. Kaya hindi nagwo-work yung argument na parang kailangan merong, may salitang kailangang idagdag.
Pasulat.
And, um, bakit naman po sa tingin ninyo, kasi, nasabi din dito na may double, status na tinatawag, na ang mga EJK victims ay maaari din pong gamitin as state witness dito sa kaso na 'to. Ano po sa tingin ninyo yung importansya ng pagkakaroon ng mga dual status dito sa ating mga, victims of EJK sa kaso na 'to?
Siyempre yung mga ano, insider yung victims magiging witnesses sila.
Witness. Mhm.
Oo, kasi sila yung nandun, nakita nila kung paano yung mga, kung paano kumilos. For example, yung kilos ni Garma na nakita mo ba yung, ah sa Quadcom, for example, na hindi ba there were times before pa nag-testify yung pamilya ng mga biktima, nakikita namin, ay si Garma, iyak-iyak siya, naawa yung mga tao sa kanya, and then they brought in families of victims na nagsabi na, syempre protected na sila nun, and then they said, yan si Garma, she went to the wake of the EJK victims, yung mga patay, nagsabi, sinong nagsabi sa inyo na pwede nyong, that you can have a wake for these victims? Imagine
Hmm.
that, pinatay nyo na nga, nagalit pa siya kung bakit binurol yung mga patay, wala daw karapatan iburol yung mga adik. Ganun siya she was that cold-hearted. Pero dun sa ano, kung walang insiders, kumbaga, na magwi-witness, we would not know, kasi yung makikita mo si Garma ay napaka iyak-iyak, yung mga insiders lang ang makakapagsabi kung ano talaga yung nangyari dun. And then of course, kailangan protected pag naging witness sila, 'di ba? May protection na sila sa ICC, which is also the reason why yung sinasabi nila na kahit live ko, no, may 30-minute delay kasi yan si Kaufman, 'di ba? He got in trouble because he was naming witnesses during sa opening ba yun o kailan ba yun na nagsasabi na siya ng mga pangalan, hindi naman dapat kasi they protect that information very well, kasi yung mga buhay ng mga taong yan, 'di ba? Sis Lady Net and Mamita Startup, hello.
Hello, hello. Totoo po 'yan, and I think kaya ang napapansin ko sa kabuuan nitong trial na 'to, hirap talaga si Kaufman humanap ng butas maliban sa appealing to emotion. Kasi legally, matindi matindi talaga ang ano, ebidensya, eh. Even yung prosecutor na humawak nito from ICC na wala talagang alam sa Pilipinas, they know that the evidence can stand by itself. They don't need to even
Mhm.
explain, eh. Andun na, eh. And, another thing din na sinabi dito ni Attorney Gilbert Andres, and I think I want to ask your opinion. Sabi niya dito, most of the evidences that was gathered both by the prosecution and even doon sa eyewitnesses statement ay nanggaling sa napakaraming naratibo in private or in public, written or non-written, verbal or non-verbal command ng Pangulo. Tingin niyo po ba napaka-importante nitong element of evidence sa buong procedure? Kasi sinasabi ng mga DDS, you are taking out of context si Tatay Digong sa sinabi niya kung papatayin niya ang mga drug addict. It's not the whole context. And even Attorney Kaufman were saying na um, s- politicizing lang daw ang ginawa kay Duterte. Ano pong reaction niyo dyan?
Si Kaufman is actually not, he's not talking to the judges. Alam na niya na ang
Mm.
judges know better. he is actually performing for the Duterte family, for the DDS, because he's got to earn his keep. I mean, he's earning like 2 million euros a month. That's a lot of money to not perform. And notably, kahit sino pang tanungin mo, I mean, of course, yung mga DDS na side, sabi nila, ay, ang galing ni Kaufman, tatanga-tanga pala kayo eh. O sige na nga, ang galing na nga.
Ang galing mag-English, no? May ganun pa eh. Galing mag-English.
Oo,
Oo.
galing na nga niya
Hmm.
mag-English, di ba? But anyway, yung mga speeches, sabi nila, yung speeches and public statements, pwede ba yun gamitin na ebidensya, di ba? Eh,
Hmm.
yung context naman nun, pang anong rhetoric lang yun, bluster lang ni Digong, because that's really, yung personality lang ni Digong yun.
Mhm.
Tatay nyo, karton. Visit talaga ako sa mga dilis na to. Pero, since ano pa yan since 2016, you cannot keep using the same excuse for this guy. Because these public statements show intent, encouragement, and like you said, Philcast Billy, when it's the president saying it, it becomes state policy.
Correct.
His speeches about killing addicts and patrolling to kill criminals are being cited to show he normalized and encouraged lethal force. So what the pretrial court or pretrial judges are looking at here in terms of should this proceed to the actual trial, and even so actual trial, what they're going to look at is patterns. So what he said, did it translate to actual killings? May sinabi siya, may maraming namatay. Oh, may sinabi siya, did it match police behavior afterwards? Did the police behavior match the rhetoric that he had? Yes. Oh, ano kayo ngayon?
And Ma'am Clark, that's actually the reason why if I think day 2, sinigundahan niya ng prosecution eh. Kaya sinasabi nila that they're alleging that President Duterte was the architecture. Because for you to be an architecture, you need to have a blueprint. And for you to have a blueprint bilang presidente na ginawa daw ni Duterte, he used his platform. He used his minions or mini-me's para gamitin yung consolidation of planning from the time na naging Davao mayor siya up to the presidency. Kaya sabi niya, everything was well planned, well orchestrated, and everything is suited by its timing. The moment na, sabi nga niya sabi ng prosecution is, the moment na maging mayor siya, alam niya kung sino yung tatap niya, which is the head of uh, regional police na hawak niya at that time. Naging presidente siya, kilala niya yung PNP chief na itatalaga niya who's actually gonna implement yung ganong ginawa nila kasi alam na nila yung ins and out eh. And alam natin, and I think a lot of people would agree sa sasabihin ko, that President Duterte knows the ins and out dahil lawyer siya.
Of course. Inamin nga
Alam
niya
niya,
na as a
yes.
prosecutor, nagtanim siya ng ebidensya, di ba?
Oo nga, natatawa talaga ako sa kanya no? Siya mismo ang naglalaglag sa sarili niya, tapos bigla niya sasabihin, joke lang ito. Hindi naman totoo yun. 'Di ba? Ang masakit diyan, nagsalita rin si Bello, Attorney Bello, na meron daw talagang pinatay. Tapos biglang
Uy,
nung
pero
hinarap
no. Yung,
ah,
yung sinabi niya na he planted evidence, he never took that back. Totoo talaga yun. Hindi niya binawi yun. Yung pagpatay, binawi niya. Pero yung sinabi niya, we planted evidence because we knew they were guilty and we had to make the case stick. Hindi niya binawi yun. So he must have, and there might be people that do it too, but this is a man who became president. That's the kind of morality this guy has. So, yung sinabi mo na he's the architect, this guy was at the very heart of the plan to neutralize alleged criminals through murder. Alleged criminals pa lang yan. No due process, nilista ng kung sino-sino dyan. And by the way, yung nakakatawa nga, neutralize, pati yung paggamit ng word na neutralize, pinag-aargyuhan pa. Kasi allegedly, yung neutralize, hindi na pagpatay. Nagbago na yung meaning ng neutralize nila ngayon eh. Oh.
Totoo kasi nauungkat na kung sino nagsabi, ano ang konteksto, bakit sinabi 'yun. And I think isa din parang pinupukol kasi at sinabi to ni Attorney Andres that para naging issue kasi ni Kaufman, bakit yung sinasabi sa hukumang ito na iilan lang, I think if I'm not mistaken, there is 536 na mga complainant na di umano'y kasali doon sa issue ng killings, pero 500 plus na tao ay hindi naman nagbibigay ng picture doon sa overall population ng Pilipinas. Parang sinabi ni Kaufman na konti lang naman 'to eh. So, isolated cases. So, normal case sa Philippines kasi because of the law and order policy. Ang sabi ni Attorney Andres dito is nangangahulugan ba ng isang buhay ng isang Pilipino porket isa lang siya, wala siyang katumbas na reason para ang isang complainant ay mag-complain sa ICC. And I think I want to ask your reaction of, do you think by just merely knowing the numbers, as how Attorney Kaufman is saying, do you think he is undermining yung essence ng ICC trial?
So parang pinapalabas niya, something like, I think he said, oh, it's only 3%. Pero kung ikaw yung namatayan, Kaufman, hindi mo na iisipin na it's only 3%. Yun ang sabi ni Densable. Di ba, Sir Densable? Hello daw, o BFF mo, sabi niya. So, yun ang sabi, no? But, si Kaufman, nagmamaang-maangan lang yan. He's an ICC accredited lawyer. He should know that this is normal ICC practice. They select, kasi di ba, crimes against humanity this is one of their regular cases, and this is a normal ICC practice. They will select a representative sample of incidents. Kasi nasa manual nga ng ICC yan, if you go into the manual, they can even just use one single case. If one single case can prove that this is a systematic attack on civilians, pwede na yun. Pasalamat ka nga, Kaufman, umabot ng 500 something eh. Oh, di ba? So, they selected representative sample that are well documented and legally strong. Kaya, yung current na charges, they will cover specific sets of murders in Davao, yung tinatawag nilang high-value targets, barangay operations. So this is just a fraction of the estimated thousands of people that were killed. Pero pinili nila talaga yung very strong ang documentation para maipakita yung systematic na killing. So, ibig sabihin, it doesn't mean that there wasn't more, pero si Kaufman, gusto niyang ipakita sa mga tao, ayun lang pala, hindi. Niloloko mo lang yung mga tao.
So, with that statement, Ma'am Carclea, do you think this is a smarter strategy from the prosecution and the EJK victims with this kind of setup?
So sa ano ko lang sasabihin na naman ng mga dilis, bakit? Abogado ka ba? Hindi. Oh, nagmamarunong lang. Parang kayo din, nagmamarunong din. Oh, pareho
Tama.
gets lang tayo. 'Di ba? Oh, hindi naman kayo lahat mga abogado din, 'di ba? So
Correct.
it's usually a smarter strategy kasi prosecutors, they will pick cases with the best evidence. Dapat pinapakita yung clear ang chain of command, clear ang
Mhm.
witnesses, yung documents, patterns, so they can prove yung overall policy kahit hindi mo ililitigate yung every single death. So if they win on those, then the judgment will still recognize yung wider campaign and the victims, even if not every victim is named in the charges. So it's still a smarter strategy. Diba?
Parang lumalagay, kumbaga sa sampling, kailangan lang may representation to prove a point. Tas
Correct.
dun ka magsisimula ng investigation. And also nakita din natin sa trial nitong procedure na 'to, na merong mga napangalanan na isasali or kasali sa investigation ng ICC, yoong mga tinatawag na co-conspirator. Na ang paliwanag nga ni Attorney Conti dito, that they are the people na di umano'y kasali, kasabwat, nag-implement or took action from what was the president or the Davao City Mayor then was saying or doing about drug war. My question to you is, how is it important that this specific people na sinasabing most responsible individual that carry out the plan, the action of then President Duterte dito sa ICC proceedings?
Kasi yung ICC, it's supposed to be the court of last resort, hindi ba? Yung parang
Mm.
ah yung pinakamataas na perpetrator, yung mga pinakamataas na may sala ang tatargetin nito. Hindi naman ito mass trial court for every person na nag-participate sa crime. So, ang tatargetin ng ICC ay yung nagdisenyo, nag-order, or nag-enable ng system. So, sinong kasama dyan? Yung presidente. So, sa ibang bansa, prime minister, mga commander. Kasi pag if you change the behavior of these top people, yun ang pinakamalaki na impact dun sa bansa na pinangyarihan ng krimen. Yun ang ano ko.
Kumbaga it's like the procedures mostly ano po sending a signal sa sino mang uupo na presidente or mamumuno sa isang bansa na merong korte pa rin na last resort that people can go to at pwede ka pa ring maimbestigahan sa kahit anong platform. Kumbaga
And
magagamit nila yon. Mhm.
and this is the thing kasi si Duterte akala niya, when he withdrew from the ICC, he thought that was the end of it. But kaya nga nilagay ng ICC ang stipulation na to na anything that happens when you were still with the ICC, you will still be held accountable for. He never thought about that. He never thought he was going to answer for it. Kaya, ito na.
Tama. And Ma'am Kirklea, do you see in any future there will be more na pwedeng ma-convict dito sa issue na to maliban kay Duterte?
So, good morning, Ma'am Becca. ang 'di ba ngayon it's the prosecutor against Rodrigo Duterte, pero the investigation into the Philippines mas malaki pa. So kung may ebidensya, siguro mga police chief, local officials, or other national figures could be charged. Bato, nasan ka na? Oh, sumusweldo ka pa, nagtatago ka pa, Bongo! Uy, na ano mo ba yung sinabi ko about Bongo? Sabi ni Bongo, ba't naman ako mag-a-absent? Wala naman akong kasalanan. Ibig sabihin, Bongo, ang pagkakaalam ni Bongo, may kasalanan si Bato kasi nagtatago si Bato. Diba?
Indirectly.
Ba't niya sasabihin yun? Sabi niya,
Mm.
ba't naman ako magtatago? Wala naman akong kasalanan. Ibig sabihin, sa tingin niya, si Bato may kasalanan. Oy, Bongo, may kasalanan ka din. Kahit tagabigay ka lang ng pera. Baka sa susunod, ikaw na din ang magtago. So, yung ibang
Ang tingin ko dyan,
co-perpetrators,
naglalaglagan sila dyan eh. Tingin ko dyan, naglalaglagan
oo.
sila. Kasi they know merong ebidensya sa bawat isa na yan eh. Kasi
Pero,
imposible na ang ginagawa lang ni Bongo, ano lang siya, assistant lang. Imposible yan. Sa tagal na ng, sa tagal na ng pagsasama nila ni Duterte, I remember there were investigation na ginawa ko personally about kay Bongo na hindi lang siya assistant, business partner, at saka
mm,
confident pa noong panahon ng mayor si Duterte. Like literally, parang chief of staff. Ganun. Ganun ang kanyang kapangyarihan sa Davao.
lahat ng mga I think because Tete was kind of, di ba sabi nila, he was kind of older and a lot of the decisions, mukhang si Bongo na yata ang di ba? When Duterte was president, lahat daw dumadaan kay Bongo, pati nga, di ba, galit na
Mm.
galit yung mga anak ni Carton sa kanya. So, a lot of these things, si Bongo na siguro nag-approve niyan. Malay
Mm.
mo.
And ito pa po, and I would like to know, one of the critics nung mga testimony ni Attorney Andres doon sa last day, ang sabi ng isang kritiko sa kanya, I think sa isang sikat na network, SMNI, ang sabi, kung
Ah,
totoong may sala si Duterte, bakit nung umpisa pa lang, bago tayo umalis sa Rome Statue, hindi kayo nagpadala ng mga investigador o hindi nyo sinimulan yung pagsisiwalat na yan noong panahon pa lang, kahit nung mayor pa lang si Duterte? Bakit daw ngayon? Ano pong
so,
reaction nyo dyan?
ang nangyayari kasi dyan, no, sa tingin ko the ICC can act when jurisdiction and admissibility are satisfied and after a preliminary investigation, examination, um, is completed. Yun nga lang pagpapa-approve ni Karim Khan, ang tagal nangyari. So, the formal investigation na-authorize lang in 2021. So, nung nag-withdraw from the Rome Statute in 2019, it took them some time bago mapa-approve yun. I don't know why. Ba siguro wala din hindi ba nag-file sila Trillanes 2018? I think in 2018. And then si Laila de Lima nag-umpisa I think she was DOJ secretary. Kailan pa yun? Basta alam ko kasi 'di ba dapat papatayin siya ni Matubato nung around the latter years of Duterte, tapos yun na, pinakulong na siya. So,
Mm.
hindi naman kasi right away na I think it took time. And then people were scared. I think people were scared.
At saka,
Konti lang ang
I think, Ma'am Clark, ito naman thought ko lang do, no? Hindi ko alam kung totoo, pero di ba hindi naman kikilos ang ICC kung wala namang complainant?
oo.
So, paano, paano makapagsimula kung wala nag-complain? And also, hindi naman
So,
ganun kabilis
2018
din.
nga, di ba?
2018 I guess. Yun yung
Oo.
first complaint. Tapos, nag-antay pa sila Senator Trillanes at that time kasi 'di ba magulo pa ang politika noon nung naandun sila Duterte before kasi talagang binabakbakan lahat ng kritiko niya eh. And I think
And si Sentry, he was going after Sentry, di ba? Tatanggalan niya ng, ano ba yung binigay kay Sentry na Kasi si Sentry
Ay, yung
has
ano,
been convicted of
immunity
of
po ba?
na, when I interviewed him, I
Amnesty.
asked
Ayun,
him
sorry.
about this amnesty. O,
Amnesty.
tanggalan sana siya ng amnesty. Bigla ba naman sinabihan siya, ay na-misplace yung papel. So, babawian sana siya ng amnesty. Ikukulong sana siya uli. Can you imagine that? And then, ang daming ginawa sa kanya. And in fact, pinahiram siya ni Senator Grace Poe ng bulletproof na sasakyan because there were actual threats on his life.
Nung panahon na yun,
So,
no? Talagang matindi.
oo. So, it wasn't that easy. So, come
Totoo.
on.
And also,
Oo.
Ma'am Car, pinupunto ni, may pinunto kasi dito si Attorney Andres na yung punto ng mga DDS sa issue na to, na para bang meron naman tayong umiiral na justice system sa Pilipinas, ba't kailangan pang gamitin ng ICC sa dahig to process this issue? Alam naman natin that there is a conflicting idea on both sides. Sa sides ng EJK victims, wala namang hustisya nung panahon niya. Hindi naman sila nakakuha kaya sila nagpunta ng ICC. Sa side naman ng DDS, kung ganun pala, ay dapat wala na tayong justice system. Wala na tayong Department of Justice. Wala na tayong mga hukom kung di naman pala gumagana yung justice system sa atin. Kayo po, anong masasabi niyo dyan?
Naman, pinanagot nga yung when push came to shove, they made yung si Kian De Los Santos, 'di ba? Pinanagot naman yung pero mga very very low level na policemen, yung talagang pumatay sa kanya. Pero you think there would have been a prosecutor that would have dared to go after the former president. So the ICC steps in only when the national authorities are unwilling or unable to genuinely investigate and to prosecute. So in FPRRD's case, there were very few domestic prosecutions despite thousands of deaths. Hindi, kahit sabihin pa nila, ano lang yan, mismong yung report ng president, yung ano ba tawag nila doon, Billy, yung nire-report niya annually na kung ilan yung mga namatay sa police, based on the police reports, mismong gobyerno ang nag-report sa panahon niya. So, hindi yun gawa-gawa ng media like Kaufman is saying. No, so there were thousands of deaths. So it just strengthened the argument na the Philippines was not really providing real accountability. Siguro yung mga low-level cops were being charged, but nobody would dare. May impunity talaga.
And because of that, just a statement na sinasabi ngayon, do you think there would be a shift in public opinion and also our politics as a system dito sa international body of justice pagdating dito sa issue ng drug war? Kasi ako personally, magmula nung nagkaroon ako ng malay at nag-focus ako sa politics, never have I imagined na ang isang former president ng bansa natin ay lilitisin sa ibang bansa. Kaya parang sa akin, bago tong idea na to. And for you po, ano po ang tingin nyo dyan?
Kaya nga sabi nila, di ba, bring him home.
Tatay nyo, karton.
Tatay yung karton. Di ba? I think nakaka-affect yung politics and public opinion. Yun ba ang ano mo? But judges
Yung parang
need to...
kung magsisway siya. Kasi I never even imagined that we'll go as far as this na ang hustisya manggagaling sa parang international body of justice hindi sa ating bansa
So, honestly, how did FPRRD end up in the ICC? So his arrest only happened when the political alliance between um, PBBM's camp and Sara Duterte fractured, 'di ba? Paano ba siya nahuli or paano ba siya napadala sa The Hague kung hindi pa nagkalamat ang relasyon ni PBBM at ni Lustay? Hindi naman siguro or I think even if they were okay, pero ito si kasi I had heard na sinasabi pa nga daw ni PBBM, take care of Sarah. She has nothing to do with what her dad is doing. Pero once Sarah started attacking him herself, nag-iba. Kasi pati si Sarah nagsasabi na PBBM is lazy and all that. So, yun ang naiisip ko ba na, PBBM is a very forgiving person. He seems like everybody saying, what a nice guy and all that. Sabi nga ni Duterte minsan, si Marcos, napakabait yan. Hindi makapatay ng langaw yan. Oh. So, I mean, pero sa araw-araw na ginawa ng Diyos, He made it His mission to attack PBBM, the one person that could have prevented his transport to The Hague. Ano ba naman, hindi naman perpektong tao yan si PBBM. You think that attacking this one person that could have protected you would really, make this nice and cushy for you and like make the ICC go away? I don't think so. This is how you ended up in The Hague. And this is how, domestic power shifts can suddenly unlock international cases. But that being said, I don't think Yulia Motok and the rest of them give a shit who Duterte is. The pre-trial chamber will decide on whether this becomes a full-blown trial based on what the evidence says, and the conviction will be based on what the evidence says. They don't care who you are. Kahit pa araw-araw nyong handaan ng ulam ang tatay niyong karton, jacketan niyo man yan ng napakamahal na jacket, kahit umabot ng 120,000 signatures ang bring him home at Tay, kami naman, akala ko ba 32 million kayo mga dilis, bakit 120,000 lang ang pumirma ng Tay kami naman? Ha? Oh, nobody gives a shit about that at the ICC. They will convict or say not guilty based on the evidence. Yun lang.
And I think and also maganda yung pinunto nyo kasi yung sinabi nyo isang in example nyo is about yung sa dami ng pumirma, 120,000. But yung kine-claim nila, there is more, like millions or billions of Filipinos are supporting Duterte. Ang sa akin naman, ang tingin ko po kasi doon sa drive nila for signature, it's more on appealing to the masses because they know they already lose yung suporta magmula nung nawala si Duterte sa poder ng kapangyarihan. Kasi ako nung nawala po kasi ako sa pagbablog, marami akong mga nakilala, mga malapit sa DDS kasi marami mga isko niya nang pumunta na bumalik sa DDS sa side eh. Ang sabi talaga nila, nung nagkaroon ng fracture sa umpisa pa lang nung panahon ni BBM, dahil nga ang talagang goal talaga is patakbuhin si Bongo na president kung hindi magpe-president si Sara or si Sara magiging presidente. And dahil nagulat sila nung umalyansa siya and then naging vice president ni Marcos, parang dun para nagkaroon ng fracture doon pa lang sa mga, sabi nila, quote unquote, elders ng DDS block na direct link sa tatay. Kaya parang nagkaroon ng fracture din even sa loob. And I think kahit sa simpleng campaign signature rally ng mga DDS na ito lang yung numerong nakuha nila, it means to say that there is no appetite even for Juan at Pedro o Maria na nakikita nilang sinasabi di umano'y suporta ni Duterte na handang tayuan yung dating Pangulo. Kasi they know there is, and alam ng karamihan ng mga Pilipino that the drug war is close sa bituka ng taong bayan. Etong issue na to, kahit hindi mo na nga i-sensationalize even yung picture ng Pieta, 'di ba yung namatay na yung karag-karag niya yung namatay, even Kaufman was trying to destroy yung credibility ng picture na yun kasi maganda lang yung lighting at overacting lang yung mga media. Pero to be honest with you, the picture stands by itself. Ganun na kasi tayo 'di ba? And I think dito natin nakikita that there is no more Duterte magic. And I'm sorry to say na may mga pagkakataon, kailangan din nating tanggapin sa sarili natin na talo tayo sa isang bagay tulad nun, yung support system. And isa pang gusto ko lang po malaman, and I think napag-usapan na to last year, bakit po sa tingin ninyo that arrest warrant of ICC should be kept on secret?
Ito naman kasi si Remulla, he didn't get the memo, di ba?
Oo nga.
Kasi, you're trying to avoid flight, tampering with evidence, or intimidation of witnesses. The only time they ever made it public was do you remember when they made it public was it si Putin, na they made it public because they were trying to make sure na there would be no further crimes that would be committed. That was the only time ever na pinublicize nila. So, yung kay Duterte, it was initially classified as secret and only later made public because they wanted to ensure he could be arrested before he disappeared or mobilized his resources to block it. Yun. Ito naman si Remulla, ang daldal kasi. Ayan, tuloy si Bato nawala.
Totoo, and I think it's more of like a police strategy. Kasi when I was trying to dig up yung ginawa talaga nila, si dating PNP chief, ano ba pangalan niya? Torre?
Si Nick
Ayun.
Torre.
They plan. Actually, parang narinig ko dyan is pinlan nila na meron talagang police na nakaantay sa Cebu Airport at saka sa Davao Airport. Para kung yung international flight na makukuha nila, kung di man lalapag na Manila, meron nakaantabay tapos lilipad na lang siya kung saang airport. Kasi siya daw yung magsuserve ng warrant by himself. Kaya parang I think coordinated ito Ako naman, para sa akin, nung nangyari talaga na nakuha siya at napadala siya sa dahig, yun yung unang-unang beses sa pagkakataon na masasabi ko na gumagana yung hustisya sa bansa. Kasi dating Pangulo at makapangyarihan at maimpluwensyang tao. Nadala mo sa dahig. So, ibig sabihin nun, kung may mangyari man in the future, kung sino man maimpluwensyang tao, alam mo, parang ngayon nagkaroon ako ng tiwala sa Pilipinas na meron pala talagang hustisya kahit papaano. 'Di ba? Yun yung nakikita ko diyan. And I guess, sa mga nanonood sa atin, sige po.
You have to have a president. You have to have a commander-in-chief that has the political will to make it happen. Yun. And you
Correct.
call President Marcos a weak leader. Sabi nga, di ba, sabi nila, you call President Marcos a weak leader and yet, Digong ended up in The Hague. Paano pa kaya kung naging strong leader yan? He could have ended up in Mars.
And I guess, it's just mere character assassination lang sa presidente. Kasi wala silang ganong matibay na panabla doon sa ginawa ni PBBM sa paghuli kay Duterte. I think there is no strong appeal to the masses kung hindi character assassination lang Or sabihin na natin itong flood control project, pero matibay kasi ang appeal ng mga namatayan sa taong bayan Yung paulit-ulit na inilalabas sa sa yung mga picture na inilalabas noong
Mhm.
confirmation of charges, matibay eh. Tas lumabas pa yung mga video before, lumabas pa yung picture na Pieta na talagang ako man wala naman akong kaalam-alam na may picture pa lang ganun. Miski ako para akong maluluha eh, kasi iba yung dating ng picture eh. Mabigat eh.
Tsaka yung mga bata.
Oo. Totoo, grabe. Siguro po yun yung masasabi ko na ito yung isang proceeding na ayoko siyang simulan, ayoko rin tapusin. Kasi
Mhm.
naano ko eh, ito yung parang kasi ang feeling ko, ito yung trial na para sa akin mistrial siya. Kasi kahit makasuhan si Duterte,
Mhm.
hindi mo na maibabalik eh. Namatay na sila, 'di ba?
Mhm.
Hindi man lang natin marinig yung boses nila. Na sa kanilang bibig mismo, sasabihin nila kung ano talaga yung totoong nangyari. Paano sila binaril, paano sila kinaladkad sa bahay nila, paano si Kian De Los Santos pinatay. Hindi natin
Mhm.
narinig yun eh. Yun yung parang naano ko, na, na,
Mhm.
nalulungkot ako. Kasi pinag-uusapan natin yung hustisya sa mga taong hindi na makapagdepensa sa sarili
Correct.
nila. 'Di ba 'no? Ang lungkot eh. 'Yun yung kaya lagi ko sinasabi, hindi natin kahit kailan 'wag niyo isipin na ang trial na 'to ay kay Duterte. Ang trial na ito ay sa mga biktimang wala ng paraan para magsalita. 'Yun yung totoo dun.
Correct.
'Di ba 'no? And,
Yeah.
ano yun nagiging dramatic na naman ako. Ano na tayo, ano na,
It's
moving forward.
it's a very emotional topic, alam mo yun, na
Very po.
hindi ko talaga maintindihan itong mga yung bang mga nag the people that are trying to say na they're trying to brush it off and say he was just trying to keep the country safe and all that. I don't understand how you can try to defend a man who waged war against common people, and you're trying to take the side of a person who is nothing like you. Sabi nila, eh kasi he's like the common tao. He is nothing like the common tao. He was never poor like you. He wasn't. He's pretending to be, ay, simpleng buhay. Heck no, he wasn't. Just because he curses and uses foul language and because babaero siya, he is nothing like the poor people. Believe me. It's
Ko-
all an act that nauto lang kayo. Yun ang problema dyan.
Totoo po yan. Totoo po yan. I think it's totoo yung sinasabi ng karamihan eh. When they were asked, even political analysts, Duterte was a game changer sa Pilipinas. There was a clamor of a different type of politician eh.
Mhm.
Kumbaga, siya yung nagbukas ng bagong identity ng isang politiko na pag tumakbo ka, dapat marunong kang magmura. Dapat walang filter, ika nga, yung sinasabi mo. Ang problema lang, gagagamit din naman sa iyo pagdating ng panahon, which is ito yung nangyayari. So,
That's the
yan yung
problem
parang,
because new
yeah,
is not always better. You know?
totoo. Totoo yan. And bago tayo mag-continue sa ating kwentuhan, again, guys, maraming maraming salamat sa mga walang sawang support sa akin sa kay Ma'am Corclea ngayon sa ating podcast. Also, if you have any questions kay Ma'am Corclea during our live, try po natin yung basahin. Or, pag mamaya po, pwede kayo mag-comment at saka sa mga magre-replay, pag nakita po natin sa comment section niya, we will try to answer it. And also sa mga tao po na gusto pong mag-support sa ating channel, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe sa ating YouTube channel. At gamitin niyo po yung phone ninyo. Pwede niyo po ma-scan yung QR code dito sa ating podcast para po makafollow kayo sa iba't iba po nating social media platform. Ayan. So, going forward dito sa ating pinag-uusapan and alam ko there are a lot of things that we can talk about dito sa issue na to. But I think setting an end to this topic lang. I wanted to get your reaction po, no? If you be part of the legal counsel ng mga EJK victim or the prosecutor attorneys dito sa ICC, ano po sa tingin niyo personally, yung mabigat na kinakaharap nila even if yung ebidensya is sabihin na nating, sobrang laki against the former president?
Uy, nakakatakot din yun. Hindi ba, yung mga Duterte clones,
Hmm,
mga siraulo yun. Security threats, yung mga hindi man, okay, there's a real threat to kung gusto man nilang i-eliminate yung mga witnesses from Duterte himself, threats to them, their families, the witnesses, to the prosecutors, to the families of the EJK victims, the witnesses, no? Um, and then, hindi lang sa Duterte family, also to the clones, kasi mga buang yun. And then, also, there's political pressure, may mga smear campaign, no, di ba? Tapos, hindi ko alam kung gaano kalaki yung mga resources niyan. I think the compared to the Duterte resources, siguro mas maliit yung pera nila. Yung tingin ko lang kasi mukhang ang mga Duterte mas maraming pera kasi pabalik-balik sila sa The Hague tapos ang laki-laki pa ng sweldo ni
mm.
Kaufman. And it's not just Kaufman they're paying they have a staff tapos tatlong abogado nila. Hindi naman pipitsugin yung mga abogadong yun. And most of
At
all,
saka ICC license. Hindi lang sila licensed na attorney
correct,
sa bansa
correct.
nila.
But aside from that, yung 6 na dinala nila dun sa pre-trial, 'di ba? They brought
Mhm.
over 6 Filipino lawyers. Sila Jabba the Hutt, si Butiki Panelo, 'di ba yung mga 6 na taga Pilipinas? Syempre libre lahat
Hmm.
'yun. Oh, but most of all, I think the ICC prosecutors, they have to work with the victim stories of yung mass violence, knowing na kokonti lang yung madala nila sa court. I think that's very emotionally, very tough emotionally. Yun ang para sa akin
Sobra. And Ma'am Clark, I think because this is for me, special live podcast natin kasi close sa heart ko tong issue na to. I think last words na pwede nyo masabi sa mga EJK victims at this moment in time.
Para sa akin yung hindi talaga very very cliche pero parang hindi talaga natutulog ang Diyos kasi who would have thought yung isa hindi ko makakalimutan yung sinabi niya na asawa ba yun o basta pamilya ng isang EJK victim na sabi niya hindi siya makapaniwala nung narinig niya na si Duterte ay nandun na sa The Hague. Talagang naisip niya, totoo ba ito? Kasi who would have thought na the time would come na si Duterte ay makakapture and mapapadala sa The Hague. Nobody thought that he would ever have his time of reckoning. Sa panahon lang ni PBBM nangyari yun. And so, God finds a way. At kahit nung sinabi nila, di ba, na even if he wouldn't have to answer for his crimes in this life, God would have found a way to make him answer in the next life. But that being said, the majority of the Philippines is rooting for you. We are praying with you and stand strong. Narating nyo na, alam nyo, magsasampung taon na yung dinadala ninyo. Huwag kayong bumitaw. Nandito lang kami para sa inyo. Hindi man kami makakapag di ba? Hindi namin maintindihan yung bigat na dinadala nyo. Please know na kami ay nagdadasal at iniisip kayo na yung we are here to support you in your fight in whatever way we can. Yun lang.
Yeah, at para po sa mga nakikinig sa atin, maiintindihan niyo kung gaano kabigat 'tong topic natin today kasi ang pinag-uusapan po natin ay kapwa Pilipino.
Mhm.
Kami po nasa ibang bansa na kami, ganito pa kami magkwentuhan. Ano po pa kaya yung mga kamag-anak, kapatid, asawa nung mga mismong namatayan? Gaano kahirap ilang Pasko, ilang birthday, ilang pagkakataon na sana'y kasama nila yung mahal nila sa buhay pero patay na, pero nawala na. Gaano kahirap yung agony, 'di ba, na dinadala nila up until now. Eto nga hindi rin maintindihan ito ng mga DDS. Saan ka nakakita sa mundong ibabaw na uulitin mo ulit after how many years, i-recount mo yung mga exact moment paano pinatay yung kamag-anak mo sa harap mo. Uulit-ulitin mo yun. And both of us, we know kasi we're on the medical side of spectrum sa profession namin, napakahirap ulitin yun. Kasi babalikan mo yung sakit yung tindi ng emosyon na yun. And for anyone, Pilipino ka pa lalo na, kung sinusuportahan mo si Duterte, kailan mo inintindi yung paghihirap ng mga pamilyang involved dito? Gaano kahirap na yung picture ng asawa mo, makikita mo ulit doon, na araw-araw mo nang ibinuburol sa limot yung sama ng naramdaman mo that time, pero ipapakita ulit. Yung, lalo na yung mga picture ng bata, hindi ko, for some reason, for any kind of reasoning, I cannot atone na sinasabi ng mga DDS na hindi totoo yan, gawa-gawa lang yan. Sinabi ni Kaufman na overact lang yung mga media. It doesn't make any sense kasi buhay to ng taong nawala 'di ba? Yun yung parang punto ko dyan. And I guess sa panghuli na lang, and this is my point on our podcast, dito natin makikita that our discussion remind us, tulad din ng sinabi ni Ma'am Clark, justice does not move quickly, but it moves steadily. Kahit matagal, gugulong pa rin ang hustisya. Ang question dito, hindi na question dito kung ang mundo ay nanonood sa proceeding na to at kung makokonvict si Duterte. Pero ang huling bagay na makikita natin sa proceeding na to is ano ang sasabihin ng pagkakataon, ano ang sasabihin ng history sa ganitong sitwasyon. Importante bang makakuha ng hustisya yung mga biktima o importante makakuha ng hustisya yung dating Pangulo? Dito natin makikita yon dito sa susunod na mga proceedings. Ayan. So, ang bigat. Ang bigat nitong topic na. Ara, ito po yata yung pinakamabigat na topic. Sabi ko nga, nung tinitingnan ko yung pictures kasi ng mga baby, kasi pinost ko po yan sa community ko, naluwa ako. Kasi may kakilala po ako namatay talaga po. At kinento niya pa sa akin Kaya masyadong close po itong topic na ito sa akin. Kaya yun, I think, yan. I think okay na tayo ngayon sa pag-uusap natin. Ma'am Clark, maraming salamat po. And I guess, if there is people na nanonood o magre-replay nito na may connect po sa mga EJK victim, tandaan nyo po tulad ng sinabi ni Ma'am Clark, nandito po kami to support and pray for you na sana makuha nyo yung hustisyang inaasam nyo na. Yun lang naman ang akin. This is outside politics. I don't care about my political color now. Ang tinitingnan ko na lang po sa pare-pares tayong Pilipino. We need fair justice. Ayan. So guys, I guess dito na natin tapusin. Ma'am Clark, maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Billy.
And to everyone, maraming salamat. Masyadong mabigat itong ating podcast ngayon. Pero thank you po, Ma'am Clark, sa uulitin po. Thank you po.
Yeah. Truth in the baseline, facts in the cadence. Silent rules, but the message stays stainless. No smoke, no mirrors, no pay for stands. Just power to the people. This is Phil Castro. Type of stay woke, let the truth broadcast. No noise, just signal. Remember that history don't bend to the ones who fast talk and listen to the ones who think. This is Phil Castro.